Good afternoon. Prime Minister Modi, it is an honor to be here, distinguished guests, and many friends. Over the last 25 years, and that's how long I've been involved in leadership at CISCO, and over the last year as chairman of the U.S.-India Business Council, where we have 100 other companies here today, I've watched a country change. Your markets opened up, your life expectancy doubled, and your income went up over 4x. However, what I think most people do not grasp is what has happened in the last 2.5 years. In the last 2.5 years, you as a country, and Gujarat has led the way, have led the foundation for India not being the fastest moving emerging nation, but the one that will be the example for both the emerging and the developing world. I have the honor to look at almost every major country in the world, and my friends today from Portugal and Rwanda and others, and there is no country in the world that has a better plan for the future than India. You have the imagination of catching market transitions. And you have, in Prime Minister Modi, in my opinion, one of the top 3 leaders I've met in my life, and I've met all the leaders in the world. 2 years ago, if somebody would have stood up on this stage and talked to you about a digital India, a make in India, a skills India, a startup India, smart cities, smart states, you would have looked at them and said, "What are you talking about?" And yet today, it almost rolls off the tongue of each of our speakers. That's what leadership is about. It's about having the courage to outline a goal, knowing full well that people will criticize you as bumps occur along the way. It is about the courage of not trying to do this by yourself, but do it in an inclusive fashion, and making each of your partners believe the role they play can really make a difference, because it can. It's about creating a win-win environment in a way that others are not doing around the world. U.S.-India Business Council, I think it is the most important and tight alliance between countries that can be done. And we clearly love the leadership we're seeing. But when I talk about your leader, Prime Minister Modi, I talk about somebody, and as I said before, I've met them all, that is capable of expanding on a vision, prioritizing how that's going to happen, bringing it down to the teams in terms of who's going to be held accountable, putting groups in healthy competition in terms of a direction, the courage to make changes where in Make in India less than a year ago, I said at that time, India will move from a slow follower to an innovation leader around the world, to where people used to say India is not moving fast enough, and at times some of your critics say you're moving too fast, which I completely disagree with. It is the ability to have a leader who cares about 1.3 billion people, that has the vision to make this inclusion, and the personal skills that makes us all proud to partner with this great country. In the last year, you've seen this vision move from one of concept and strategy, which, by the way, is the best in the world. And I know what the digitization plans are for every country in this world. You've seen it move into execution. And sometimes you can be so close, you miss the changes that are occurring. But whether it's here in Gujarat or other cities or other states around the country, you can catch the energy. And you're becoming the envy of the world with the highest GDP growth rate, and one that if really digital India takes off, I think growth rates of 8 to 10% are a given, and doubling the per capita income every 6 to 7 years of all people in this country are very much there. Each of us in the U.S.-India Business Council are making commitments here, $27 billion in total over the next 2 years. Let me just walk through the example of CISCO in terms of our commitment. We have bet on this country big. We love this country. We love the people. It is our second world headquarters. 15,000 people, 22,000 contractors, strategic ecosystem partners. Secondly, when Prime Minister Modi asked to make in India, and we were the company that brought outsourcing and manufacturing to China 20 years ago with Jiang Zemin, we are committed to manufacturing in India and being candid as a partner about what has to change. And we are opening our manufacturing and started in shipping what I'm excited about, routers and switches, in March of this year. We are involved in 14 of your 20 top cities, 6 of your top states in terms of the digitization efforts. We are involved in startups, because startups and small to medium businesses where all job creation will occur. 40% of the existing companies will disappear in this next decade in the US, in India, and around the world. And it's the small companies that will become the large companies where all the job growth will occur. In talking to a young president's organization in Gujarat today, I saw, if you listened, exactly what I'd hear in Silicon Valley, some of the best young leadership with the 30 people there. You see each of your leaders throughout your country saying, how do I make this inclusive for those people who are in the city, but also in the rural environment? You see CISCO making a commitment over $100 million to startups, $40 million in my last visit here. You see us looking at how do you reskill a country, both in primary education and reskill an existing workforce, looking at network academies where you train people for where the jobs of the future will be in technology. With 250,000 people we're committing to train by 2020, double what we said the last time we were here. And working with states about how do you do this across all diverse areas, and in areas such as gender diversity, 10,000 young men and women in one state in terms of ITC skills. You see the Prime Minister's fingerprints when he was Chief Minister here in I Create, and the ability to establish learning centers that bring together business and government and the startups that are the engine of the future for the Internet of Things as we move forward. You see a willingness to have a secure India in terms of partnerships in a way that we, as the backbone of the Internet, have only with 3 or 4 other countries in the world. And you see an ecosystem partner of win-win. So my challenge to the group is the time is now. My challenge to the group is you cannot move too fast. My challenge to the group is whenever you talk about vision, and whenever you talk about innovation, there will be disruption, it will make us uncomfortable, and there'll be bumps along the road. And especially to the media, instead of being critical at that time, it's important to remember the goal that we have in mind and how this will be the country that leads the world going forward. And that realize if there aren't bumps and disruption, you're not moving too fast. Mr. Prime Minister, I believe in your country. I believe in your citizens. And as the chairman of USIBC and the chairman of CISCO, we're greatly honored to be here today. Thank you very much.
Your barrel bombs and mortars and airstrikes have allowed the militia in Aleppo to encircle tens of thousands of civilians in your ever-tightening noose. It is your noose